So in this tutorial, we're going to work on beautifying our application using the Twitter Bootstrap library and Semantic UI. We're going to get the cards from Semantic UI, and we're going to use the navbar and jumbotrons from Bootstrap library. Here is what it looks like in the project that I created before. So we're going to work on creating a new project using the Angular forms and also save it in our Rails API backend. So let me create a new form now. Let's say test title and a test description. So we're going to save this up and we're going to view it, and there you go. So we have our test title and the post is going to be created and saved in the database. When we click on it, just like we worked in our last video, now we can show the project and we can see every details of the project as we see fit. So this is what we're going to be working on in this tutorial. We're going to create a new post and we're going to save it in the Rails API backend. So let's go. So we stopped the server from the previous test project and start our server on our application, sample app and sample API. So we start the Angular 2 server with ng serve, and then the Rails server with Rails S. And now once everything is working, let's go back to the browser to refresh our application and see the status. We see that we're back to where we were from the last video, and now in this video we're going to work on designing this page. We introduce jumbotrons and we also create a form using the Bootstrap library. So let's go ahead and import the needed libraries from the Bootstrap website. You can get to that link by going to getbootstrap.com. I'm going to put the link in the description below. So once that is done, we need to copy these links and then paste it in our index.html. The index.html file is located in the source folder. We're also going to need the CSS file from Bootstrap as well, because right here what we see is we copied jQuery and Theta. Now let's go ahead and copy the CSS file, which is the main thing that we really need. So we're going to paste that above the link. And now that Bootstrap is imported, when we refresh our page, we can see Bootstrap at work. Let's refresh the page, and what we get is a change of fonts and a change in the layout. So now let's go back to our project and start to use some of the libraries that Bootstrap has to offer. The first thing we're going to work on is the navigation bar, which we can copy from the Bootstrap website. The navigation bar can be taken from the components that Bootstrap already provided. And then we're going to go to this page and pick any of these layouts, any of these examples. So we're going to copy and paste that in the app.component.html file, just right above the router outlet, which is going to help it to display in all pages of the website. That's what the navbar should do here. It should display on every page of the website. And now we can begin to edit and remove some of the links we don't need, like this. And we can also try to edit and change some of this to what we really need. Like for example, we're going to change this right here to root to be able to visit the home page. And also we're going to copy this post link and paste it up there and replace it with the features. We also need to already create a link for creating a new post, so we're going to change this link to that. First we change it to create new post, and also we're going to change the link which we have not created yet. We're going to go to the router now and create that. We can also disable this and remove that. So now we'll go ahead and check to see that the navbar is working. We'll wait for the page to refresh. And as you can see, it works. Let's go back to our test editor and add some content for the home page. And create a sample jumbotron just to make the home page have some content. We create a class and give it a jumbotron. And as you can see, Sublime Text already has some sample for us for jumbotron, like some snippets, so we can use that. If we save this and go ahead to the browser to check and refresh the page, we'll find that the home page now has some content. So let's get back to business. Let's go back to the test editor and straight to our Rails API application to create the actions needed for us to successfully create a post. So we'll go to the post controller now and finish up the create action that we started from before. Using active records new function, we create a new post and pass in the post params, which we haven't created yet. So we go ahead and create that under the private access modifier. And what the post param does is we permit all the parameters of post, which is title and description. After that, we'll go back ahead and finish the create action. So let's save that. Close out of the post controller file and all the other tabs that are opened. Now we go back to our Angular application and we need to work on the post service.ts file. There we're going to create a method that will enable us to communicate with the create action we just created in the Rails application. So we'll create a create post method or function, which is going to be an observable. Also pass in some headers, which is going to be of content type JSON. And I will return the post using the http method of post that takes in three parameters: the post URL and the post itself and the header options. And we map it straight to the response and return a JSON object. So let's go back now and use the create post method that we just created. First, we create a post new.component.ts file from where we're going to be using the create post method that we just created in the post service. And just like with every other component we've been able to create in this whole course, the first thing we need to import is the component from Angular core library. We also import the observable and the post model class and also the post service. After that, we'll pass in the directives and also the template URL as well as the styles URL. Let's go ahead and create the post new component.html file for our template. We need to create the template file as soon as we already reference it in our component.ts files to avoid errors from the Angular compiler. So now we go back to the post new.component.ts file and export the class and get it ready for app.modo.ts to compile. And now is the perfect time to add it to the app.modo.ts file. We import it first and add it to the declarations. And then we go to the app routing module file to activate the post new route. And now if we go back to try to use the template in the post new component.html, let's just put something and try to display that in the browser to see if everything is working fine. And if we click on the link, we should see the content of the template file. So now is the time to finish up our post new component.ts file. This is where we're going to be calling up the create post function that we wrote in the post service file. We need to call on the post and create a new instance of post each time a new post is created. and we create a Boolean variable to be able to check when a post is created or not. So first we pass in the post service in the constructor and create a new function, create post, which is totally different from the create post in the post service. And this is where we now call the post service and the create post function that we created in the post service right there. So we create this function and pass in the post instance that we declared up there in the beginning, and we subscribe to the observable, and then pass in the data. If everything goes right, we return true, and if not, we return an error. So now it's time to go to the template file and try to test out our post that is going to be created from the forms in this template file. So first, let's use the Bootstrap class Jumbotron, and we can also go ahead and use the snippets from Sublime Test. We delete the jargons from our creation and allow the snippet to take its course. We reformat the layout and also edit some text from the Jumbotron, and we can go ahead after that to start creating the real form. So let's go to the browser and see what it looks like. So wait for the browser to load and see Jumbotron in action. Let's go back now to Sublime Test and finish up our form. So in this part of the tutorial, we're going to be using a bunch of classes already created for us by Bootstrap. And some of them, as you can see already above, is row with calls and offset. We're also going to use ng-submit, which we already have access to the moment this application was created with Angular CLI. You can confirm that if you check the app-model.ts, it was already created and imported and also added to the import array. So let's go back to the form and complete it now. And what ng-submit does is it does real-time event binding instead of refreshing the page when the form is submitted. We're also going to use a local template variable of title and description, and we bind that to ng-model. A template variable means we are creating a new variable and it is bound to the input element where it is located. Local template variables are bound directly to the template and they don't have anything to do with the class itself. And as you can see, our input element is created. So now let's go back and finish up with the description. And by repeating the same steps for the input title, we also created the test area for description. So if we go to the browser and test it out now, we see that the test area is created. The next thing we need to do is create a button. We're going to use this button to submit once the title and the description is already added to the input, and we change that to submit and also add a test for creating a new post. So we can simply check in the browser now and also test what we have done so far. Let's confirm that a new post will be created once post button is clicked. So we add a new post. We go to the console first and let's add a title and a description, and let's try to create a post. Oh, we got an error. So let's find out the reason for this error. So one of the things we can do to avoid this type of error in the future is going to the post.rb file in our API application and adding a validation. This means that if title and description is not added, it's going to return an error. We can also add a validation to the front end side in our Angular application and add required to the input of title and also add required to the input of test area. So we can go ahead and confirm everything is still working by checking out on our terminal, looking at the log and seeing that in the Rails everything is fine, and in the Angular side of things everything is also fine. So let's go back to the browser now and try to create a new post again, giving a title and a description. And no, the error is not gone yet. We can also try to disable the button if the form is not valid. So let's do that. The other way to find out what is wrong with our application is to try to restart our server. And what we found out is that something is wrong with the post URL spelling in the post service file. So we try to correct that and add an S, because the declared variable is posts URL, not post URL. So now when we create a new post, everything should work fine. Let's give some title and some description and try to create a post. And there, everything works fine. The post is created with some title and some description. So that's cool. Another thing we should do as well is to finish up with our validation in such a way that when we type a post and delete it, we let the user know that the post is required. And also when we type a description, we also let them know that a description is required. The way to finish up with that is to add some classes that were already created for us the moment we declared our template variables to be an ng model. We use the valid and the pristine classes from Angular forms. So we're going to do this for title and also for description. Let's copy that and paste it for description as well, and try to edit the classes to make it description.valid and description.pristine. And we also edit the test, let the user know that description is required. We can also try to hide the button once a post is successfully created. So we're going to use the hidden property from Angular to tell it that once a post is created and submitted, just stay hidden and show up a test. But let's test out our validation first. Type something in the title and delete it, and you see that the title of the post is required is displayed as an error, and also for the description. We also see that the button is disabled, but when we type in a test into the title and also into the description, it is immediately enabled. And when we try to submit, it creates a new post and is hidden immediately. And if we go ahead and confirm to check the list of posts, we will see that our post was successfully created. And if we click on it to show, we see that the show action we did from the last video is also working. So let's go ahead and finish up with the stay hidden once submitted and display a test, maybe to view all posts when a post is created. And using the hidden property again, we tell the div to stay hidden if not submitted, and we also add a link to view all posts when the post is created, and we tell the user that your post has successfully been created. And when that is done, let's go ahead and test it out on the browser. So we let our browser refresh, and we can create a post now by giving a title of let's create a description of a post, submit, and our post is successfully created. We also need to find a way to remove this description and title once the form is submitted. And we have an error as well because we misspelled the router link. So let's go ahead and correct that. And if we let the page refresh now and try to create a new post, everything should work perfectly fine. So let's give a title of post sum and a description of now is the time, and post our article. And if we view our post now, you see it's working. And we see that our post from before was already posted, and also the new one we just created is also there in the post list. So let's go ahead now and work on the form. We need to find a way to empty the title and the description once a post is submitted. And to do that, Angular already gives us a method called reset. We can easily just reset the post. Let's put that after the create post function in the ng-submit event. So we call the post form template variable and tell it to reset once the post has been successfully created. Let's go and test that now. So we let it refresh and we give a title of post with reset and a description of anything. So anything we put there now, we now not show after we submit, and there it works. So if we view all our posts now, everything works well. We have a post in the list and the reset already works. The show action also works and everything is working as supposed. So if we go back to our editor now and try to show more of the post, let's say we want to show the description of the post since we already showed the title, and showing the description is just as easy as showing the title and the ID. So we'll call the post description, save it up and check the browser. We would be able to see the description of the post if we click on it now, and there you go, we have it displayed. So the next thing we want to work on is styling up our post list page using the CRUD from Semantic UI. Semantic UI has a very nice class that is already created. It's called stackable cards. So there you see the stackable cards. We can stack any amount of cards on top of each other. Here they are stacking up 3 cards on top of each other. In our own case, we are going to be stacking 4 cards. So we import the CSS library from Semantic UI and put that in the index.html page. And we're also going to copy the JavaScript for Semantic UI as well, in case we're going to need it in the future. We also put that in the index page just below the bootstrap.js library. And now we can use the cut in our template. And as you can see, the Semantic UI already makes our page to look even better. Semantic UI integrates really nicely with Bootstrap without no extra amount of work. So the next thing we should do now is to go to the post list.component.html file. The new template we want to create is what we will use to replace this already existing one. And we start by creating the div and giving it the class from Semantic UI, the UI for stackable class that we are going to use. As this video is already getting too long, so we're going to copy and paste some of the existing code that we made before, since we only just wanted to display all the posts in individual cards. We add the date, and we can also add a button to view all posts, and we save and refresh the page to see the result of what we have done. So you see that everything is displayed in a nice way in a card. Now we can remove this code below or disable it, and our post list page is going to be beautiful. So for a recap of what we have done in this video, we were able to create a post and insert it in the Rails API, save it in the database, and we were able to style up our page to look better, and we were able to learn the rudiments of HTTP services by Angular and form validation. So in the next video, we're going to be working more on the update and delete of each and all these posts. Thanks for watching, and please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if this course has been helpful for you so far. Thanks.